For more than 300 years, Detroit has lived by one principle: no grit, no glory.
Get me out clear, let me go. You're tearing shreds off these guys.
To succeed here, the only thing that works
You're overtaking. I'm killing the front tires.
is work. Takuma Sato knows the kind of work that can turn a career of missed opportunities into an Indy 500 victory. Saturday made the racers dig deep. Today they see if there's anything left. Twice the grit,
All right, champ, let's bring it home.
twice the glory. It's time for the Detroit Grand Prix. It's time to go to work.
Race fans, it's time for those most famous words in motorsports. Please welcome Vice President, Global Integrity and Global Product Safety, General Motors, Ken Morris.
Drivers, start your engines!
Takuma Sato, 26, your pole sitter, leading the field down to the start. So Sato gets the lead down the back straightaway toward turn number 7. A lot of taking a breath moments there in those first few corners, but everybody got through it cleanly.
A lot of jockeying going on, especially in the back section. You know, we always say starts and restarts, gain positions, it's great. Remember, cold tires right now on this bumpy circuit. I think the drivers did a great job, Eddie, by no body contact, because that's a tough deal to get through in the first lap.
I agree, but they had to work with each other, and they did, and it was by far and away the fastest traffic jam I've seen in a while. So right about now, they're starting to hit their pace. The car is warming up. They're getting that first race out of their system, and they have to start grinding at these next 69 laps. Don't forget, everybody did a race yesterday, Scott, and they're tired.
And you and I were talking about that in the drive back to the hotel last night. When we came here, we only did one race on this bumpy circuit. It generally took you a week just to recover to the next weekend before you raced again. And we talked about it yesterday also. These guys, 2 races in a row, very difficult to do. Alexander Rossi having a peek on his teammate, 27, Marco Andretti.
Sato is leading his teammate, Hunter Ray.
Sometimes, well, I said it, I know, I used the line before. Sometimes you're the windshield, sometimes you're the bug.
And the bug just appeared. But this is what we talked about before. Exactly what the drivers are seeing, and what we're feeling is just all the bumps. You're trying to put your foot on the gas, but you're trying to do it not too quickly. Otherwise, the rear tires will spin. Through this complex here, working the steering wheel. Down a couple of gears. Coming out of turn 11. Now listen to the acceleration. Turns 11, 12, up to 14, 165 miles an hour here sometimes. Over the big bump in 2. And you can feel that inside the car all the way through your body.
J.R. Hildebrand is on pit road. Rick?
Yeah, this is time to talk strategy. Obviously, they want to get off those red tires as fast as they can. It's important to point out he had a very specific problem during qualifying. They had a red flag that came out. It shortened the session. When he went out for the second part of the session, he was not able to turn a fast lap, a second lap. He took the checkered before he was able to turn a lap. As a result, he was all the way back at the field. So their attitude right now is roll the dice big time and see if you can't make something big happen during this race.
So remember, in the Verizon IndyCar Series, 2 different tire compounds used. The red sidewalls are the alternate tires. They are softer, they're faster initially, but they fall off more quickly. The black tires, the primary tire, a little slower than the reds initially, but last hold their speed longer. The crossover between the speed of the reds and the fall off and the pace that the blacks maintain is a short one on this racetrack this year.
And it varies every track you go to, and you mentioned a short one here. It absolutely is. And guys, we'd like to get off those red sidewall tires as quickly as possible, so watch for that throughout the race.
Castroneves has an opportunity right now, if he can come out of this corner close to him, to get in front of Hunter-Reay.
Castroneves on the push to pass.
Hunter-Reay defends.
He just hit the push to pass as well.
That's that digital board you see behind the driver's head.
Scott Dixon on pit road.
This is over. Castroneves has gone by. That was perfect. Perfectly executed. And Hunter-Reay does not give up. And he passes him on the outside.
Long pit stop on the left for Scott Dixon. And Aloshin by. Something wrong with the 3.
Yep,
flat tire. Got a flat tire.
This time.
You saw him on the steering wheel there, turning his fuel trim, and there's some more battling going on.
Will Power through Aloshin.
Very hard for Castroneves to keep the pace up, because when the tire goes down, you start running on the bodywork and you create an enormous amount of damage to your car.
And what a tough break.
Aloshin on the inside of Connor Daly. We got a lot of passing going on today, guys. I wasn't anticipating watching this.
Look at that tire. It's going to start ripping off that piece of bodywork.
Yeah, and that's the key thing, isn't it? As a driver, you want to get in the pit so quickly. So we're watching Helio Castroneves on the left-hand side of your screen, but you have to make sure you don't cause more work for the crew to fix once you get in.
Yeah, but you can't lollygog.
Here he comes to the entrance of pit road. Power's car, right side of the screen, seems to have come alive through all of this scramble lately. Here he is working Hunter-Reay for 3rd, while Castroneves comes to the attention of the Penske team, Doc.
Must have had a puncture or something. They started this race on red tires and only had 1 lap, and that was just 1 lap of qualifying, but that left rear tire is gone. They were trying to save fuel to make it on the 2-stop strategy. Not going to happen now. 4 tires. It'll be 2 more stops for Elliott for today.
All right, Doc, there goes Power by Hunter-Reay. Back to the Castroneves situation and what led to the problem.
Oh, some tail swapping going on by Ryan Hunter-Reay. Elio takes advantage, and you can see the front wing of Ryan Hunter-Reay, the 28 yellow cars. Look at the debris. That's getting right into the sidewall of the tire eddy, and it cuts that left rear tire for Helio Castroneves in the Hitachi car.
He turned over, getting the right line for that corner just maybe half a second too early.
All right, the lead duo has been joined by a 3rd. Will Power is chasing him down.
Tire's good for about 10 more. I'm pushing it this hot on that thing. I don't know. Gotta let us know if you think those tires are going to hang on for 8 to 10 more laps.
Now, that was a little while ago, fishing out whether they were going to stick on the plan for the 2-stop strategy or whether the handling of the car was going to go away.
Well, his times obviously answered that because he's closed the gap.
Yeah.
Now Rahal is not just worrying about Sato. Rahal has to worry about Power.
But I'd like to add on that Will Power radio, though, Eddie, and you know this, you turn around and say, you know, you have 10 more laps to go and say the tires are going in, the tires are going away, I need to come in, and they'll just say, we can't come in, you need another 8 or 10 laps. So they're asking him just for information, but I don't think they'd call him in. They would just make him work harder.
I think, well, again, that radio was from a little bit earlier, so they were at the decision point. This is it. We either stop now or we're going for the 2-stop strategy, period. So now Power makes this a 3-way fight for the race lead. The highest running car that has stopped already is Joseph Newgarden, who just moved up to 8th position. Newgarden pitting at the same time Scott Dixon did back at lap 9, and we had all that other stuff going on the screen. There is Rossi passing Aloshin and Charlie Kimball right there. So now maybe the handling on those softer tires giving up on Mikhail's car compared to some of these he's racing with. A note on Rossi, there were only 3 drivers that started the race on the harder primary tires, and Rossi was one of them. The other was Connor Daly and Carlos Munoz, who started scratching the field after a crash during qualifying this morning and an engine change.
Now we'll see what sort of times Rossi does.
And when those tires start to go off, guys, when we talk about those red sidewall tires, it's hard to put the power down the ground. You want to push your foot on the throttle, but the tires will start to spin. You want to drive deeper into the turns, but the tires will start to lock up under braking. So as a driver, there's no power steering, power brakes. There's no ABS here. It's all up to the driver. Doc?
And here's Simon Pagenaud, obviously on a 2 pit stop strategy. They were having him save fuel and be careful the reds go off and the blacks go on. Watch it fueling. Want to get out in under 7.5, barely over 7.6 seconds for Simon Pagenaud. He'll have to make only 1 more stop today.
And I believe as he exited, I saw them lay out tires in Will Power's pit. So expect to see the 3rd place car come down the pit lane the next time he comes by.
For all the teams that were counting on an early yellow, they're going to start paying a negative price for that decision.
Another one I just want to mention while we watch this fight for the lead in track power as he comes toward pit opening was J.R. Hildebrand. Remember, he was the first one to move to pit road at lap 2, got off the soft tires onto the primaries. He has been knocking down fast lap of the race after fast lap of the race. He's worked his way up in the pack to 9th from the back of the pack. Leader is in, 3rd place is in. Rick?
Takuma Sato once again won the Indy 500 a week ago. Now he's trying to win this race. They were a little concerned about the temperature on the day. So much warmer than it was yesterday. But he's run a very clean race. Looks like a clean stop, and he is on his way. Doc? Will Power, what a difference a day makes. Yesterday they had him pit on lap 19. He had to save so much fuel. He really couldn't race the last 2 stints. Remember, they're hoping for a quick stop. He's getting pulled right to the racetrack. Here goes Sato. Here goes Power. And Sato will beat him off pit road.
So now the question will become, as they blend into traffic here, once Graham Rahal, now the leader, makes his move to pit road, how does he come out in relation to these drivers?
And Dixon is not sitting around waiting for all that to happen. Dixon is right behind Sato. He has warm tires. Sato does not have warm tires yet. Mark Andretti's attacking Power.
But remember, all of these drivers are going to be on a 3-stop strategy. So now we're looking to see how the caution plays, if the caution waves, all that kind of thing. But for the moment, if you make the assumption, I know assuming can be difficult, that the race is going to stay green, then where does Graham Rahal come out in relation to these guys who are on the 2-stop strategies? Here's Rahal in from the lead, Rick.
Yeah, just a couple laps ago, Graham Rahal actually came on the radio and asked the team, he said, when is Sato going to pit? Well, obviously his goal was to go 1 more lap beyond that. Nice clean stop, no adjustments, he's gone.
Now we'll see where he exits the pits.
Sato is coming down toward the front stretch. He'll enter the picture from your right. Here they come. Looks like Rahal is going to get away ahead of them.
And I also believe that Rahal was using some of his push to pass on that in lap to give himself a bit more of a gap to Sato. Smart move by the team and by Graham Rahal.
That's a big gap that Rahal has.
That's a swing.
Look at Sato has a Penske tidal wave behind them. It's amazing how the Penskes have come up today, isn't it?
3rd, 4th,
and
5th, and of course Castroneves had problems earlier. He's back in 15th right now. Had a flat tire after contact with Ryan Hunter-Reay. So of the top 9 cars, 7 of them are on the 2-stop plan. And the other 2 are Newgarden and Dixon, who run in 5th and 7th. You'd see from our ESPN race strategist, we don't have a great likelihood of a caution in the next chunk of the race. These are the kinds of things that the engineers grind on, the numbers, the race history, and so on. They update them constantly, and it's that constantly ticking clock on the race strategy calls that have to be filtered through every single moment of every single race.
And right now, Rahal has a 14 1.3 second lead on Sato.
And I want to go back to that pit stop that he made. The only pit stop that he's made in the race so far. That was at lap 24, and it was lightning. I mean, his in-lap, his out-lap, the pit stop got him the jump over Sato in the line. And you just mentioned the gap that he's got back now to Sato as, who's that, Castroneves and Marco Andretti. This is pretty deep in the field.
Now here's Marco's. He does this move every time somebody tries to pass him.
Oh, whoa,
that might cost him something.
See if that results in a flat tire at all. We'll wait and see.
Front looks okay.
Information from Brian Herta. Let's watch these guys go into the turn. What happens all the time is you're fighting for the same amount of space. For Eliel, he does not think that Marco's come up on the inside of him all that much. He thinks that he's behind him, but he just keeps on going, collects the car. Watch along here now from Eliel's on board.
Good clean pass here.
So he doesn't really get up beside him enough for him to think that he's there.
Well, that's because he wasn't there.
So there's technology in the IndyCar series, and all the teams have the feed where every car is tracked on a map around the racetrack. Here's Pagenaud in. More on that in a minute. Doc?
He wanted to be the first among the leaders to come in. It'll be the final stop of the day for Simon Pagenaud. Got to get it full of fuel. Tire zone, waiting on fuel. 8.1 seconds, expecting his two teammates in momentarily.
And a similar strategy for 98, of course, Alexander Rossi. He wants to take this early part of the window because he was on those Firestone Reds. Now he has a brand new set of the primaries, just waiting on the fuel. 7.6 seconds. And again, just like we saw for Pagenaud, he'll have to save a little bit of fuel now, but he's good to go to the end.
Now, Graham Rahal will be coming to the opening of the pit lane here in just seconds. Do they call him in now? Do they leave him out for another lap or two? Pit stop now for the leader. Rick?
Graham Rahal, this is what he's been hoping for. He was able to get out front, as you mentioned, with the radio transmission just a moment ago. The goal was to run as hard as they possibly could during that lap because they're planning for when he comes out. Once again, a nice clean pit stop, and they are out. Car 26 to Sato comes in. Their plan is to put a little bit of turn in the front wing, just give a little bit more downforce. Hopefully it'll be a nice clean stop there. You see him lean over, make the adjustment on the wing, go side. Well, they didn't get to the outside. 7.9 seconds. Doc?
And here's Will Power for his final stop. We'll watch and see if they do a front wing change. They talked about an understeer a little bit, which means the back of the car was loose. Air pressure change, get it full of fuel. No wing change, he's away. Almost under 8.
How about that? Power ahead of Sato on the exchange of the pit stop.
These outlaps are so important on this last stint. You've got to get everything you can out of your car.
So Newgarden pits from the lead with 22 laps to go. That'll give the lead back to Graham Rahal, the man in charge of the Detroit Grand Prix all weekend, basically. Graham Rahal, who led all but 15 laps of yesterday's race, and today has led 31 of the 61 laps that have been completed. He is out in front by 9.5 seconds on second place.
Yeah, I mean, it's really hard to follow. Yeah, at this point, I think you just save your tires nice and easy. You got one car between you and Newgarden.
That would be Max Chilton in the 8 car between the leader Graham Rahal and second place Joseph Newgarden. It's a ways back, and with these laps winding down, I think that's really good advice to the driver.
What? Up to this point, Graham has had a lot of clean air as he's been leading. This is the first time he's been behind a car as close as he has been with Hunter Ray. And the air, obviously, Scott, is not as clean, and he cannot run the line he wants to run. He has to work on the car that's ahead of him. So he looks like he's trying to keep just enough distance so the air is a little bit cleaner. But look how big this gap is. And there's the second place right there.
Yeah.
Who's doing about a second, on average, about between half a second to a second faster than
per lap.
Per lap.
And Joseph Newgarden in second place, despite using a 3-stop strategy today, Doc.
Exactly. Remember yesterday at the end of the race, when we were in commercial before we interviewed him, he said, you know what, I had the best car I've ever had the last 5 laps. He said, I was reeling in the front too. If we had 5 more laps to go, I might have been able to get there. He said, I hope I get that chance tomorrow, referring to today. Now, they're telling him on the radio, you're gaining almost a second a lap. He's now 8.5 seconds back with 8 laps to go. They just told him a moment ago. That means on the white flag, you're going to be right there. Newgarden is charging as hard as he can go.
Have a car slow on the course. James Hinchcliffe, he's on a straightaway. Caution is out. Full course yellow with 5 laps to go.
Oh, we have a race. Joseph Newgarden is going to have the knife between his teeth because he knows he doesn't have that many laps to go. So he can't be... He can only be super aggressive if he has a chance to get up there. And you have to assume that Hunter Ray will let him go by.
So there is the safety truck pulling up to Hinchcliffe's car. You see the pace car has picked up the field. Because we are where we are in the race, lap cars will be driven down the pit lane and lined up at the back of the field for a potential restart. They've got to get Hinch's car. Who's that? Told in that cloud of dust and smoke, that's Spencer Pigot. And indeed it is.
He's on fire.
And that could put the race, getting this race restarted, in jeopardy. He's on the straightaway between the pit lane and turn 3. There's a runoff there. So did he drop any liquid on the track? Can they get the 2 cars cleared into areas and get this race restarted with any time left, any laps left in it?
I think I heard them say it's a turbo, which isn't like having a hole in the block, obviously.
And that's exactly what I was thinking, Eddie, is that a turbo, if something happens to a seal in a turbo, all that smoke is the oil gets into the exhaust and makes that big plume of smoke. So as you were discussing, and we now hear up and down pit road, red flag.
Yep.
So they want this to end under green. But to answer your question, unlikely there'll be a lot of fluid from that car on the racetrack.
All right, so they're going to move lap cars out of the way, so it'll be you and Newgarden, and it'll be about, I don't know, a 2-3 lap shootout. You have 60 seconds to push to pass. He has 36 seconds to push to pass.
So the field rolling off. And of course, with the 14 turns and the 2.4 miles nearly to get the field formed up, we will get the restart the next time by and have 2 laps to go in this race.
And look for turn 3, because everybody's going to be trying to pass in any space they can find. And there really is only one line through there.
Drivers weaving their cars, trying to get the tires warm, trying to get any debris or what we call marbles off the tires. Marbles are those pieces of rubber that are around the racetrack, and they probably got some of those on their tires on the way into pit lane. So watch for them to really warm their tires up and get them up to temperature, plus cleaning them so they can have a good run through turns 1 and 2 and a run down to turn 3, like you mentioned, Eddie, which is where I'd be trying to pass people after that long straight.
So during the red flag, they did have the sweepers out and cleaned a lot of that up in a lot of the racetrack. So that is of help for these drivers, particularly in the passing zones as they go double wide.
But Alan, the tires will not be warmed up when they turn into turn 3 the first time. Everybody will have relatively cold tires, and tires that are not up to temperature don't have as much grip. But you don't have a choice. You cannot wait 2 laps for the tires to warm up. So it's going to be very hectic at the start of this race.
There is the driver activated temporary horsepower boost that their car gets, and how much time, how many seconds of that each of the top 5 have left.
Look at Will Power. He has a lot of it left.
But the guy that's directly in front of him is his teammate, Joseph Newgarden. And you know that being here in Detroit, in the captain's backyard, Roger Penske's hometown, that he's now running, you will not want to take out your teammate.
If there's a crash, the race is going to end under caution. How does it finish? Here they come to the restart. Rahal, Newgarden, Power coming to the line. There'll be 2 laps to go in the race.
Okay, remember your overtake. Nice job.
Rahal has just enough of a gap between him and the second place.
Everybody was leaning on the push to pass there. Newgarden looked like he's struggling a little bit getting going. Power right behind him.
And Rahal is pulling out a gap.
We talked about how good Rahal's car is, and it's showing here. Joseph Newgarden again, the back end sliding around. He could not get the power down, putting his foot on the gas. Rear tires are spinning.
Look at Rahal. Look at the distance he's put between them with cold tires. That is exceptional driving.
Leaning on that push to pass all the way down that straightaway.
We used the word dominant before. He's done it again today.
See Newgarden wrestling that car off turn 11. Coming to the white flag. Graham Rahal 1 lap away from a weekend sweep. Final lap here in Detroit.
Hi, white flag. You're 8 tenths faster than Newgarden. Good gap.
And Alan, you mentioned a Rahal sweep. It's also, if he gets to the finish line first, a Honda sweep here in Detroit, Chevy's hometown.
Down the long backstretch, down the Strand.
The end of the straightaway is really the last place that Newgarden had a good chance of passing him, but he's way too far back. Rahal's using every inch of the road.
Talked about this being a double points weekend and the impact this might have on the championship. Graham Rahal came into the weekend 15th in the championship. He's going to leave in 6th place. Newgarden without enough. Checkered flag will be waving. Final couple of corners and a sweep in the Motor City waits as Graham Rahal takes the checkered flag in the second of the Detroit Grand Prix doubleheader races.
You're the man. You're the man. Man, that Honda engine was strong. Great job. No one's ever won both these races. Excellent work. Great job, gentlemen. Great job in the pits. Great job all day long.
Well, if winning yesterday was sweet, I have to think that winning on day 2 has to be even twice as great for Graham Rahal. Not only did he win race number 1 here in Detroit, he came back and dominated race number 2 yet again. Not only did he dominate it, but he managed to pull it off for a restart. Oh, you were not happy. You couldn't have been happy when that thing was red flag. What was going through your mind?
Well, I mean, to me, you know, race is a race, and I mean, we drove the race, right? I mean, if the engine blew up in the last 2 laps, it blows up. It should have been yellow flag, but I mean, I guess they want to show for the fans. But look, I'm glad we came out on top. United Rentals, Turn for Troops, Pengrade, Hyatt, Steak and Shake, everybody that's worked so hard to make this happen. And once again, we get a win for Honda here in Detroit. And trust me, there's going to be a lot of people back in Southern Cal.
All right, walk us through the restart, because obviously you got Joseph Newgarden, who had been turning really fast laps behind you, right on your tail. What did you do?
Well, I didn't think he had anything for us as long as we could clear traffic. I mean, our lead went from, what, 18 seconds or 15 seconds down just due to traffic. But in the clear, I could gap him again. So I knew it was going to be tough, but I thought we could hold him up. The marbles were just really bad, so honestly, those laps were ugly. They were ugly, but look, we won. It feels great, you know, all around just a spectacular weekend, you know, for us. And my wife went to the finals. I don't know if she won too, but ultimately, just a great day for our family.
Once again, the first man to sweep the duel in Detroit.
70 laps around the 14 turn. Raceway at Belle Isle course, down to the start.
The essence of racing is going fast. And right now, Newgarden is blindingly fast. There was a lot of action, but none of it really affected Rahal. He has been dominant.
Who's that?
We now hear red flag.
So, the plot thickens. How does it finish?
Look at Rahal. Look at the distance he's put between him.
And a sweep in the Motor City waits as Graham Rahal takes the checkered flag.
Next up for the Verizon IndyCar Series, it's off to the Lone Star State. Qualifying coverage from Texas can be seen on NBCSN at 7 p.m. next Saturday, with live race coverage coming your way at 8.